Hello everyone, welcome to UTA Planetarium's live star stream. My name is Levent Gurdemir, UTA astronomer. I'm here today again with you to talk about something interesting, and I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. So, Jim, what are we going to talk about today?
Maybe what if we talked about the North Star? Could that work? That could work.
North Star. Yes, we can talk about the North Star. So, when we look at in the evening in the sky, probably most of you heard about this famous North Star, but we just don't know how to find it and which star in the sky is North Star at night. So, let's go back to our daily sky and first talk about what is North Star and why one particular star is called North Star. So right now we are looking at an evening sky, and the sun sets every day from the east direction, and it travels to the west direction. And after the sunset, the stars continue that motion in the sky. So stars rise from the east direction and travel towards the west direction. And that's all because Earth is rotating around its spin axis. So if we imagine the night sky, let's actually set our sky to be 1 hour after sunset so we can see some of the stars and constellations. And I really would like to see more and more stars in the sky. Here we go. So, well, maybe we can go a little bit farther too. But also, we can also imagine, Jim, can we just fast forward the time a little bit more? Because I really would like to see this motions in the sky. So right now we are looking at the south direction. Let's turn our camera to east direction. So just like everything else in the sky, just like the sun, the stars are rising from the horizon with the daily motion. So let's not stop the daily motion. Let's keep it going. Yes, the stars rise just like the sun. And look at the west direction and see what's happening in the west direction. So we are just turning our camera to the other direction. And here the stars are setting down the horizon. So if we just look long enough to the sky, we would notice the motion. So again, let's go back to the south. And while they are doing this motion, we can just imagine the entire sky as just a little giant sphere in the sky. So this giant sphere, that will make sense after we explain everything. So this is, we can imagine the sky as a giant sphere, and all the stars are attached to that. So, and that giant sphere, the rotation axis of that giant sphere is in line with the Earth's rotation axis. So every spinning object, I mean, this is not a spherical object. This is just a piece of meteor. But imagine this is it's spinning. When it's spinning, it has a spin axis and two poles attached to that spin axis. So that's the same case with Earth, and that is the same case with our celestial sphere. So this sphere has a north pole and this sphere has a south pole. So we can, because we are located in Texas, USA, in the northern hemisphere, we actually see the north part of the sphere, and the north pole is visible to us. But the south pole is not visible, because when we just turn our head to the south direction, and as you see, this sphere's south part is disappearing over the horizon. So from the northern hemisphere, we cannot see the south pole. The opposite is true too. If we go to the southern hemisphere and southern countries, we will not be able to see the north part of this sphere. So here we go. Here, let's stop the time a little bit. So this is the north part of the celestial sphere, and as it spins around the rotation axis, which is just located right over here. And how can we find this point in the sky? Of course, it is extremely difficult, but fortunately, there is just a star located right at the center of all of this motion or all this marker. So this point, this star tells us approximately where the north celestial marker is. So here, this way we can find the north point. So that's why we call this North Star. So the North Star has actually another official name. It's called Polaris. And the Polaris is, it may not be easy to find in the sky. We need a special trick, and I usually use that the Big Dipper trick to find it. And this is how to find North Star. Let's go back our real night sky, and let's reset everything back, because during the summer months you will find the Big Dipper constellation lower in the sky, and during summer months it is going to be the opposite way. So right now we are in the winter, the Big Dipper is low in the sky. So let's go back after 1 hour after sunset, and let's turn our head into the north direction. So approximately north, where you will find the Big Dipper constellation. Again, in the winter months, the Big Dipper constellation is low in the sky. All right. And Big Dipper constellation is very easy to identify, and all you need to find is finding 7 bright stars that is in the shape of Dipper right there. So during winter months, you may have some building or tree obstruction on the way. So it may not be clearly visible, but if you give it time and if you have a clear horizon, you can find these stars pretty easy. So after finding the Big Dipper, all you need is using these 2 stars on the edge. And if the Big Dipper is low in the sky, upwards. If the Big Dipper is high in the sky, downwards. Draw a line. So we are in the winter months. I'm going to use the reference stars and draw a big line in the sky. So from the bottom star to the top star, if I go approximately 5 times of the separation of the reference stars in the sky, I find Polaris, the North Star, very easy. And you can confirm that it is North Star, because once you find it, you just found actually the tail of the Little Dipper constellation. So you can trace your lines and find the Little Dipper. So after you confirm that you find North Star, turn your head, and here is the direction north. And it is very easy to find other directions, because your right hand is going to be east direction, the opposite side is south direction, and the left hand will be the west direction. North Star has another use other than telling us which direction is north. We also measure the elevation of the North Star, or separation of North Star from the horizon, and then we can immediately find very important coordinates for our location. Let me look at the comments a little bit. And hi Brixton, good to see you, sir. We missed you in the past a few star streams, but I'm glad that you are here. And also, hi Amber, I know you very well, and thank you very much for coming and listening this live star stream. And we also have a poll question about North Star. Just go ahead and answer that, and at the end we'll see who answers what. So going back to North Star. So we just need to measure the elevation of the North Star from the horizon, and that tells us our which latitude we are in. So as you know, or as you may know, we identify our location as the 2 coordinates, the geographical longitude and latitude. So finding latitude is easy, and if we just measure the elevation, and let's turn on our meridian and see if we can find this information for the Texas, it is going to be 33.1 degrees, or approximately 33 degrees. If you go to, like, for example, New York City, you will see North Star being higher in the sky. It is going to be about 42 degrees. And if you go, let's say, the equator line, the North Star is going to be just barely clearing the horizon line. Probably will not be visible, but going to the equator line will be actually very interesting, because on your north side, you will have North Star on the horizon. In the opposite side, there will be the South Pole also on the horizon too. Well, unfortunately, there is no star on the South Pole that allows us to identify, so there is no South Star in fact. So how about finding the longitude? So we can find the latitude very easy using North Star, and finding longitude requires a little bit more work, and it is not involving the North Star itself. So if we think about why we need that information, well, apparently people have been traveling around the world, and even before the invention of airplanes, people are using ships to travel around the world, and these devices did not exist back then. For example, the discovery of the continent America was in 1492, and GPS satellite was invented and launched in first time in 1978. Yeah, that was probably most of you before you were born. Even I wasn't born at that time. But then the invention of like the cellular phones were in the early 1990s. So if you just think about how the rapid changes in technology brought us this convenience, but back then that convenience didn't exist, and people used stars for navigation. Well, they are still training pilots and sailors for this type of navigation, and it is called celestial navigation. And it is important because electronics may fail, and imagine yourself traveling and you're in the middle of nowhere. You are either an airline captain or you are just running a big ship, and in the middle of nowhere you lose your communications. You should still be able to navigate your ship or aircraft to the destination. So that's very important for those who are doing these type of jobs, to have the knowledge of night sky. And one thing about North Star, well, North Star as a star, it's boring. There is not much different than other stars. In fact, it is actually a triple star system. We talk about North Star, Polaris, but actually that one light is actually the combination of three stars. So it's a triple star system, and it first thought to be actually a double star, and then the improving telescopes revealed it's actually the third star. Well, it's a variable star. It is changing its brightness constantly. And also one thing about North Star, when we go back to the history, so the North Star was always known to the astronomers, including the ancient astronomers. And let's think about the ancient astronomers of Egypt. When they were building these mysterious pyramid structures, I heard that they say some of the holes, when you observe from the floor, they are aligned to show the North Star. Well, if you just do it, you don't see anywhere near Polaris, the North Star, in the view. But you see just a path of another star in the sky, and it's Thuban. So Thuban is a member of Draco constellation. It is away from North Star, and and this star is different, and apparently it was important to the ancient Egyptians. But if you think about it, maybe they didn't know the astronomy very well, or they didn't have the night sky knowledge sufficiently enough, and they couldn't measure maybe where the North Pole is. So that may be the case, but it turns out actually not, because the problem is the Polaris is called the North Star today, but the Earth's rotation axis is doing a constant wobbly motion in the sky. So this wobble motion takes a lot of time. So in our one lifespan, we don't get to see we don't even get to notice it, because it takes 27,000 years. So let's actually show the wobble motion. So how the rotation axis is doing the wobbling. The North Star, if you go back to BC 2500, 2600, so which I'm talking about 36, 37, or almost 5,000 years ago, the North Star was not near the celestial pole. There was another star, Thuban, was near the celestial pole. So for that reason, ancient astronomers, to the ancient astronomers, Thuban was the North Star, and they aligned the pyramid holes with Thuban, not Polaris. So the time has passed. Now it is Polaris, and in the, for example, 91st century, about 7,000 years later, the bright star of Cygnus constellation, Deneb, will be considered the North Star. So, is it affecting us? Not by much, but if you think about this motion, and by the way, this wobble motion of the Earth's spin axis, it is called precession. And the precession is affecting all the coordinate systems in the sky. So if you think about the major coordinate system, what is the major coordinate system in the sky? Yeah, I can hear like you are saying, yes, zodiac is the major coordinate system. And we tie all the sun and sun's positions in the sky with constellations. So we call one constellation name for every month. So in 5,000 years, and that coordinate system was made 5,000 years ago, reference go to 5,000 years ago, and in 5,000 years, with the change in the coordinate system, shift in the coordinate system, because of the precession motion, the placement of the constellations in reference to sun relatively changed, shifted, and the amount of the shift is about 1 month. So what does this mean? This means if you look at the horoscope, for example, the dates for every constellation or every sign, you see a date range. That date range is garbage. It is wrong. And because it is wrong, they don't match anymore. So you can actually just download a free Planetarium software that shows you the sky. And you can go back and set the sun with your birthday and find out that your sign is not aligning, or the sun is not aligning with your sign. It is aligning with a preceding constellation, a preceding sign. So that means that's the one way of looking at the horoscope doesn't work and doesn't make sense, but also it is wrong, the dates. So why they are not adjusting? The horoscope writers are not adjusting the sky. That's because the knowledge of sky and knowledge of astronomy is very limited. And also, intentionally, we don't tell this fact to them. And because we don't tell this fact, they are not aligning, and we'll keep it as a secret. And you need to promise me you are keeping this precession motion secret from the horoscope writers, so they keep using the 5,000 years old wrong dates for the signs. So let's take a look if you have any questions in the chat. And if you don't, we'll continue our star streams next week. And I hope you like this time, because this is new time, 3 o'clock on Wednesdays. If not, if we find more audience on different times, we'll go ahead and try different times. But if you are happy, we would like to know that. So Brexton says, read that the pyramids were built in line with the stars. Is this fact or still being evaluated? No, this is the fact. There were a lot of influences and references to the sky with the pyramids. Even some pyramids, like there's a never been there, by the way, but just speaking, looking at pictures, but three pyramids lined up, three great pyramids, and they look like the Orion constellation, because Orion's belt have three shiny stars. So, and also there are holes, and the knowledge of astronomy was great at that time. So we can give a lot of credit to the builders of pyramids, that they used significant astronomy when building the pyramids. So it doesn't surprise me when some of the holes were lined up. And I know some other observatories too. Before the invention of optical telescopes, observatories were built underground. Because there is no optical equipment needed to point in the sky, but they needed to find out or see the stars in the sky in a narrow field of view. So you can only establish that you can either maybe manufacture a giant pipe, or you can just build your observatory underground. And this is what they did. So in underground, they were looking at the sky from hole, but that holes were usually aligned with the special points in the sky, and most of the time meridian. So if you just point, if your hole is pointed to the meridian, then you can just find out the bright stars passing the meridian, and you can catalog them. You can make the list of the stars, and you can run some calculations on the timings on the passages, and you can compute or calculate precisely the length of a day, the length of a year, and also the inclination axis, the tilt degrees of the Earth's rotation axis. So they were all done with the underground observatories, way before the invention of optical telescopes. Great questions. Do we have any more, Jim?
No, looks like we can go to the poll if you want to talk about it.
Okay. Yes is, I think, more in the poll, so that is really great. And if you don't, that's 33% of the audience said no, and you can go ahead and try for yourself. Go outside, find a clear night, of course, which is not possible for the past few days, but hopefully that will clear and you can go outside, and it is not hard. So the sky conditions are much better here in the Metroplex than in New York City, because in New York City, let alone North Star, you cannot just find the third star in the sky, you can only see two. But the sky conditions are a lot better in Dallas-Fort Worth area. So at what latitude will the North Star be at the zenith or highest point in the sky? Well, in what latitude, if I would stand on the North Pole, where Santa is coming from, right? So the North Pole, the North Star should be at the highest point in the sky, which is called zenith point. And in the equator, it is in the lowest point in the sky, which is horizon. If I go to, for example, Australia, visit some friends over there, because it's in the southern hemisphere, or maybe even Antarctica, I cannot see the North Star from that part of the world. So because it will be always below horizon, and it will not be visible. And I can see South Pole if I know where it is, but because there is no South Star, I cannot easily identify where the South Pole is. All right, so if you have any more questions, please leave it for the next week, next star stream. I will be here with different topic, and we will let you know what that topic is. And always be here and stay safe and look to the skies. See you all next week.